We're all doing more with less. Who here has more resources than they've ever had before? More time? Less work? Well, this is a function of American productivity, right? American worker productivity the last 2 decades has doubled. And this has been even more pronounced within the healthcare sector. What was my job again? Again, is there anyone in the room who was hired for what they're doing right now? I know I wasn't, and that certainly is not a bad thing. My job's evolved, our job's evolved. But part of the evolution is oftentimes taking on more tasks, not less, more roles. Some of you are in marketing and recruiting, credentialing, recruiting, and a physician liaison. The jobs have merged, but the work volume hasn't. So let's talk about solutions or options to move forward. One option would be a software or internet-based solution. This is a way of aggregating all your work into one area. These systems are oftentimes loved by the C-suite, so your CEOs or your CFOs. They love them because they provide a tremendous amount of metrics and reports. Does anybody here have bosses that like metrics and reports? I have 4 that I can see right now. So when we're talking about options to move forward, I oftentimes see the GPS analogy with my son to some of these software and internet-enabled systems. It looks good or sounds good on paper, but the reality of the situation is very different. Communication suffers. Yesterday, we had a great speech by Michelle, who talked about the happiness quotient, the amygdala, which is going crazy right now, by the way, my crazy nut. And she had a great line where she discussed, email is like brain damage for communication. Well, if email is brain damage for communication, these systems are a total coma. Communication dies. As a function of that, deliverability begins to suffer, and quality suffers. Or we can find trusted partners, lean on them for resources, and use them to maximize what we do on a daily basis. So for us, that transformation has been the lean transformation. Since 2008 at CompHealth, internally, we've had over 100 internal lean improvement events that have yielded 35,000 hours reclaimed and $28 million in cost savings. Now, I will be the first to say I was very skeptical about lean. My initial impression on lean was this is some type of people-cutting way of, hacking the man down. I'm not the man, but hacking down the common man. Having gone through many of these events, I can tell you that it's impressive how the fundamental guiding principle is putting people first. It's not about putting process first. It's not about putting cost first. It's about putting people first. In fact, over the past 5 years, we believe in lean so much that we've taken lean to our clients. Some of you are in this room. In the last year, we did 10 external lean events at your hospitals. Those events yielded tremendous results, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail. But the really neat part of those events is that you own the event. We simply facilitate. So you, as recruiters, own the rewards, the savings yield, the time yielded, and, as we're about to discuss, some of the large-scale improvements we've been able to achieve.
Lean is a way for us to eliminate waste in a process, thereby maximizing value to the customer and building quality into that process. We have to increase the value to our customers. This is accomplished when everyone in an organization is encouraged and empowered to improve their own process using critical thinking skills and by solving their own problems. If the C-suite is the only group in our organization solving problems, we've got big problems. They're only going to get worse because they're busy. We exist to make a difference in the lives of the communities we serve. It all starts with us. So we're going to talk about defining value first. After we talk about defining value, then we're going to map the value stream. Last year, we mapped our morning routine. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about a lot of you. We'll skip that this year. I learned too much about some of you. We're going to talk about flow. What does it look like when our process is allowed to flow unencumbered, without stops? After flow, we're going to talk about pull. Pull is when no action takes place without our customer requesting that action to take place. And then finally, as if it wasn't difficult enough, we're going to strive to be perfect. And the only way to do that is to continue through the cycle. This is about evolution, not revolution. Make small changes all the time. When you do that, it'll transform the way you work. When everybody does that, it will transform our industry. So we're going to start with talking about defining value. We want to define value from the customer's perspective. What kind of sense would it make for us to go and make changes to our process if they don't benefit our customer? It doesn't. It makes zero sense. One of the technical tools that you can utilize to define value is called a voice of the customer event. It's where you write down 4 or 5 questions and call your customer. One of the best ways to get information is to ask for it. So write down some good open-ended questions, call your customers, and ask some questions. We do this all of the time. We do it internally and we do it externally. Many of you have probably been part of a voice of the customer. One of the reasons, and I appreciate Thomas for mentioning this, that people think lean is synonymous with job cutting. It's not. Lean is synonymous with creating the efficiencies that free people up to do other things. You're going to realize that the amount of energy that's required to perform your task is significantly reduced. Might give you an opportunity to do something different in the organization. So again, it's evolution, not revolution. We want to learn by doing. It's about being in the place where the work happens, watching it, transforming it, creating a culture of problem solving. And that starts with each of us in this room. Improving the work is the work. You get the results you're getting today because of the process you're using today. If you want to get better results, got to have a better process. Starting with the people. If you get the process right, you'll get the results right. So start immediately. It's about trusted partnerships. Make the work easier. Let's collaborate. We share a value stream. When you get better, we get better. When we get better, you get better. When we collaborate, we all get better.